Okay, let's face it.
Goodbye, Jake.
No, you don't speak for her.
Bella, get out of here.
Love triangles suck! They bog down otherwise good stories and typically feature boring characters with nothing interesting going on. In all honesty, love triangles are never a good idea to write in fiction. Or at least that's what I would have said about a month ago, before I saw John Crowley's 2015 Best Picture nominated film, Brooklyn. Brooklyn blew me away with its world-class acting, hilarious dialogue, as well as an emotional core that kept me caring about every single character involved. But most importantly, Brooklyn did what I had previously thought to be impossible, implementing a love triangle that actually improves the story. Yup, so this video is basically me admitting I was wrong. But hey, I'm not perfect. Alright, so previously I believed that love triangles could never work because every love triangle that I had seen suffered from one of two major issues. The first main issue was what I like to call love triangle eclipses story, or the Twilight effect. Basically, this is when a love triangle is so overpowering that it becomes the only focus of the story. Developing good characters and plot becomes sidelined for the writer because they spend all of their energy into developing this love triangle. The reason that this doesn't work is because the writer has put no effort into writing characters that the audience will actually like, so the result is that the audience doesn't really care about the drama going on in the characters' lives. This means that the audience won't care about the love triangle. You know, the main plot of the story? Stories that suffer from this have a weak narrative involving flat characters that feel like stupid lovesick puppies. Overall, a story like this is incredibly frustrating to sit through. The second major issue is what I like to call when story eclipses love triangle, or the Dark Knight effect.
Hey.
Bruce, this is Harvey Dent.
The famous Bruce Wayne. Rachel's told me everything about you.
I certainly hope not.
Let me ask you this. When people talk about their favorite moment in The Dark Knight, how many people mention the restaurant scene where Bruce, Harvey, and Rachel are having a conversation about work, but with the subtext that builds to their love triangle?
The Palisades? Sure. You know, as our new DA, you might want to figure out where your jurisdiction ends.
Yeah, that's right, nobody. Whenever anyone talks about their favorite moments from The Dark Knight, they mention the brilliant chase scene, or Batman interrogating the Joker, or the final confrontation between the hero and the villain. My point is, this story eclipses love triangle because there's so much more that is just so interesting going on that people just kind of stop caring about the love triangle because it seems unimportant.
What is that? What is that, a bazooka?
What does Harvey know about you and his little bunny?
Where are we?
Up until about a month ago, I legitimately believed that no story could make a love triangle work, until Brooklyn came into my life. The reason why the love triangle works so well in Brooklyn is because the love triangle doesn't eclipse story or vice versa. The love triangle works in tandem with the story to effectively develop Ailish's character. The best way to describe Ailish's development is if we talk about how the love triangle affects the 7 questions of narrative drama. The 7 questions of narrative drama are basically how you effectively make a character go through an arc. You need all 7 questions to be answered by the story in order to tell the arc as effectively as possible. Before I get into the 7 questions, I want to quickly run down the story of Brooklyn. Ailish was born and raised in Ireland and lives with her mom and sister. She gets a job offer in America where her employer offers to pay for her education, so she decides to take the job as well as go to college for free. So she moves to America. She deals with homesickness and loneliness in her new life until she meets Tony, an Italian boy whom she falls in love with and gets married. When her sister dies, she goes back to Ireland for the funeral, and suddenly she meets Jim, an Irish boy who she also falls in love with. And boom, we have a movie. Now time to get into the 7 questions. The first 3 questions deal with the character's wants or needs. Question 1, what does the character want? Question 2, what does the character need? And question 3, how do these wants and needs contradict each other? So the character's want is usually something selfish or misguided that they're chasing at the beginning of the story. The want is a very surface level thing that won't make them feel truly happy. The character's need is something that will actually make them feel fulfilled and satisfied with their lives on a deeper level. And these 2 things can never exist at the same time, forcing the character to choose one or the other. Ailish wants her comfortable life in Ireland because that's where she grew up and where her family is. However, what she needs to do is go live in America, get an education, and then get a job afterwards. These 2 things contradict each other because she can never have them both at the same time, which forces her to choose one. Questions 4 and 5 have to do with how the wants and needs cause conflict. Question 4. How do the wants and needs cause conflict with the outside world? The world around Ailish is constantly pushing her away from what she needs when she first leaves Ireland. Almost everything on the boat goes wrong. People are rude to her on the boat, her food gives her food poisoning, and the bathroom door is locked so she can't even use the restroom through her food poisoning. Then upon getting to America, she's greeted with crippling homesickness, housemates that she doesn't get along with, and a boss that's unkind to her. But she pursues her need anyway, making her character seem more persistent. Question number 5. How do the wants and needs conflict with other characters? Here's where we finally get to start talking about the love triangle! Jesus, that took us forever. Okay, so here's what you need to know. You gotta have one character pushing the main character towards their needs, as well as another character enabling their wants. Basically, the main character needs to have an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other one. Ailish starts to feel home in America because she meets and falls in love with Tony, a friendly Italian man.
I still miss you and Mother and think about you every day. But I think I can say that for the first time since I've been in America, I'm really happy.
Ailish and Tony date for some time before deciding to get married. Tony's pushing Ailish towards what she needs in life because now what she has in America is an education, a job, and a husband. However, when she goes back to Ireland for her sister's funeral, she meets Jim. Jim isn't so much of a character as he is a temptation for Ailish to stay in Ireland. Her trip back to Ireland presents herself with tons of temptations to stay there. She sees her old friends again, she sees her mother, a job offer, and Jim blatantly asks her to stay with him.
I don't want you to go. I want you to stay here with me. And I know that means asking you another question. But I don't want to bombard you.
So the reason that this love triangle is so effective isn't because we want to see Ailish stay with one man or the other, it's because the men are just symbols of lives that Ailish needs to choose between. When she's back in Ireland, she's presented with a massive crossroad in her life and needs to choose between her comfortable life in Ireland or her prosperous life in America. Questions 6 and 7 have to do with how those wants and needs cause change. Question number 6. How does the character change through those conflicts? At the beginning of Brooklyn, Ailish was a timid, homesick girl who was constantly second-guessing herself.
I'm sorry about the smell and the bucket.
Don't worry. The whole boat stinks, even first class.
Through all the hardships she faced, she became a confident woman with skills and a home in America.
When you get to immigration, keep your eyes wide open. Look as if you know where you're going. You have to think like an American. You'll feel so homesick that you'll want to die. And there's nothing you can do about it, apart from endure it.
When presented with the opportunity to stay in Ireland, she realized that by staying in Ireland, she would be throwing away everything she built up in America. By staying in Ireland, it would solidify herself as that timid person at the beginning of the story. So she fully realizes what she needs to do. She needs to embrace her life in America as the confident woman that she's transformed herself into. Question 7. What impact does that change have on everyone else? Jim is obviously saddened by Ailish going home. However, Tony is excited to see that she has returned so that they can spend the rest of their lives together and start a family.
And you'll realize that this is where your life is.
So, in conclusion, the love triangle should never be the story. The love triangle should be there to enhance the story by forcing character development within the central character. Having two love interests be the symbol of characters' wants and needs forces them to choose one. With all of the terrible, awful love triangles that exist out there, I'm relieved to have finally found a love triangle that did it beautifully. If you guys are still curious as to how to develop a character with the 7 questions of narrative drama, I made a video back in December about it with Prince Zuko, so if you want to go check that out, I'll put the link in the description. And one more very, very important thing to keep note of. Saoirse Ronan, I love you, you're beautiful, please marry me. @RichDeserga.